Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. John on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what it do, everybody? It's your boy, John Altidor with Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Back at you with another one. My boys, Vlad and Barry. And I don't know how, we've gotten this lucky, but back on the show, we got a host of Speak on FS1, the great Joy Taylor. Welcome back to the show, Joy.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
No problem. Thanks for coming back on. We appreciate you. It's good to have you back on, Joy.
Earlier, congratulations is in order. You're formerly of the Herd. You were a co-host on there, but now you're on to new ventures, on your new show, Speak, which airs on weekdays at 4:30 p.m. on FS1. How's that going, and how are you liking the new position?
It's been going great. Obviously, I loved working with Colin for all those years, and we had a really great show and a great run together. But it was always my goal when I came to the network to be a full-time host and a full-time opinionist. And this was, the next step in my career, and to get into that space. And so I was, excited for the opportunity. And obviously it's a unique format. It's a show that hadn't existed before. So, we changed a lot of things around and really wanted to focus on doing a fun show that kind of, made people feel like they're in the locker room conversation, a lot of fun, a lot of energy, great analysis, and also, just playing off where all of us come from, which is, pretty different places. So we're having a really great time on the show. I think, hopefully people are enjoying it, and, it's a new adventure for me. So I'm loving it.
Absolutely. I think all the shows on you're usually popping, right? You got all the opinions on there. And I love to watch it too, like Barry was saying, and we take a lot of information from those shows too. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we're on to the NFL season. We're going to week 7 now, and we've seen some developments. Any surprises for you so far this season in the NFL?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of surprises. I think there's a lot of not great football being played. Is that okay to say?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of,
absolutely.
Bad football, yeah. A lot of bad football.
Really bad.
I just feel like there's teams that I thought were going to be better this far through the season. Not that, a lot of teams are out of it or anything. I mean, I think we know who the bottom of the league is. Obviously, we've already had a coach fired in Carolina. So, I think we know where those type of teams stand. But if the rest of the league, it's kind of crazy. Like, the Seahawks are winning games, and
Geno Smith.
Right. And, the Bucks are 3-3, and Lamar and the Ravens aren't looking how I thought they'd look. So I just think the middle of the league is very confusing. There's a lot of parity, which people always say they want until you have a lot of evenly matched teams, and it's kind of anyone's season to win. The top of the league is very small. I think it's the Eagles. I think it's the Chiefs. I think it's the Bills. And obviously the Bills just beat the Chiefs. So, I mean, I don't think that knocks the Chiefs out of it or anything, but I think the top of the league is very small. And then everything else in the middle is just very confusing. The Rams and the Bengals, the Rams got the Packers. If you look at the scores of a lot of these games might be more confusing than how the actual games went. So, yeah, I think for the first time, I really feel like it's too early to really know what these teams are going to be. I'm not ready to write off the Bucks, but they just lost to the Steelers, who had half the defense out and had a rookie quarterback in his second start who got hurt halfway through the game. The Packers lost at home to the Jets.
To the Jets.
The Jets might be better this year than we thought they were going to be, but you can't lose that game. You can't. So I don't know. I think there's just a lot of unknown, which makes our job a little difficult because we obviously do a lot of predictions and we're reacting to things every day. But I think there's some concerning trends for a lot of teams that are teams that we thought were going to be really good going into the season.
Yeah, we'll get to the Packers. But the Bucks, getting a lot of criticism. What do you say about, the whole Brady situation, him going to the wedding and yelling at his line, that's bringing up a little controversy. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm torn because when I'm talking about things like this, I try to put myself in the shoes of, these people, me being me, not them being them. So like me, Joy Taylor, if I'm as accomplished as Tom Brady, ain't nobody telling me shit about what I can do and not do on what days I'm going to do them. Yep. I know you didn't come to talk to me about this. Are you talking to him? I know you're not talking to me. I know that, to be sure. But that being said, you do have to win that game. So, it's not unheard of for guys to take days off for personal things, for weddings, for funerals, obviously, for, births. Like people, this is their job. We take personal days in our jobs for things that we need to do. And so do athletes. Now, we all have this idea that like they're never going to take a day off during the season and nothing ever is more important than football. But there is stuff more important than football. Like, could he have skipped this wedding? Probably he could have, but it's important to him. So he went. They're done with practice early on Fridays. What's surprising to me is that he didn't come back for the Saturday walkthrough. I think if he had left Friday and went to the wedding but had been back for the walkthrough, there wouldn't be as much pushback because players know there's nothing going on Friday night. So to me, like that's more of the big deal. But you gotta win the game. So I'm never going to question Tom Brady's dedication to football. I think we're all kind of in this space now where we're like, maybe it was time to retire, but you do have to win the game. I think there's bigger problems though with the Bucks. I think everyone is kind of downplaying the changes that were made in the offseason. And Todd Bowles is a defensive coach. The offense was left to Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady. If Tom Brady is not particularly involved for a week, like we've seen here, how does that get picked up? So there's a lot of questions now, especially because of the way that they're playing, about how they're going to turn this around. I am not going to question the ability of Tom Brady. And they have the talent there that we've already seen them win with. So, I feel better about them than I do about the Packers, but it's concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. And on to the Packers. Is it just the loss of what's his name? Devontae Adams? Yeah, that's plaguing them, or is there more going on there?
Look, we know Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. He is. He's a great regular season quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And he's great when things are great. When stuff doesn't go exactly as planned, how does he respond to that? I said today on the show that the Bucks loss was worse than the Packers loss, but I'm more concerned about the Packers than the Bucks. So I don't want to confuse everyone here. Like on the macro scale, I'm more concerned about the Packers. The Packers are coming back from London. That's a long flight. I just flew back from Miami last night. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm 35 years old though. It takes a day or two to get your body readjusted. There's a lot going on. So, I could build in some excuses. I don't want to, but I could build in some excuses for what happened with the Packers in that game. Whereas the Bucks losing to, a depleted defense and a rookie quarterback is kind of unacceptable. But I think it is bigger with the Packers, which is why I'm more concerned about it, because you now have two losses. You have the Giants loss in London. Now you have them losing to the Jets. And it just doesn't, you can't put it on the defense. Like, defense did what they could in that game. It's not like he's overcoming, huge deficit or anything. Like, they just don't have a dynamic offense anymore. Occasionally you'll get a nice run because they do have great running backs there, but he looks different. He doesn't look confident. I'm not hearing any of that relaxed stuff this time around.
Not this year.
Nope, definitely not this time. Nope.
And I don't know about Matt LaFleur. Like, is Matt LaFleur a good coach, or is he managing a situation that was really good and taking advantage of what's been a really bad division? I don't know.
I'd go with the second one that you said. He's managing he was lucky he was in a good situation, and and he has Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, and just so happened to have a good team. But as far as being a good coach, I don't believe he's a good coach. I think he's trash, if you ask me.
I don't know if I can say he's trash, but like, I don't know that he does anything for them that gives them an advantage, And to me, it's when you have someone like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think the Packers have underachieved for a long time, but now, all offseason, all I could hear was how much Davante Adams didn't matter and how much it was such a big deal that Tyreek Hill wasn't in Kansas City. It looks like if any of those two teams are going to be able to figure it out without a major player, it's going to be Kansas City and not the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers is the first ballot Hall of Famer, obviously, but he's back-to-back league MVP. I just think the whole situation in Green Bay is always very interesting to me. It's just like we never make such a big deal about the Packers struggling or the Packers failures as we do any other team. The Cowboys and the Packers had the same ending to their season last year. A massive disappointment in the playoffs in their first game in the playoffs. The Packers should have been dragged 1,000% more than the Cowboys did. The Packers were the best team in the NFC, and Aaron Rodgers was coming off of a back-to-back MVP season. How do you lose like that? And it's just like, well, tough loss. Like, you are Aaron Rodgers. Why is Dak Prescott being held to a higher standard? And Mike McCarthy, for that matter. You replaced him with Matt LaFleur, and you got Aaron Rodgers back-to-back MVP, and the Cowboys are catching more shit than the Packers? How?
But they scored 10 points in that game.
I'm saying, like, I just feel like the Packers always get this, like, benefit of the doubt, always and forever. And I'm like, you should have more success. Like, you just should. For this standard of what you have, you should have more success. I don't know that the Packers are going to be able to pull it together. I have a lot of questions about them. At least with the Bucs, I know what Tom Brady is, and I've seen that at least the talent on that team have success before.
Yeah, I'm not doubting Tom Brady. I think it's just there's no point to that. We've seen time and time again him proving us wrong. So, but Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. I judge his character, and I think he just lacked character as a quarterback to lead the team and make the team better.
Well, I think that's fair, though. I mean, you don't have to like either one of them as a person. I'm not really talking about their character, but I would certainly say that I think Tom Brady is a better leader than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we've seen Tom Brady elevate talent that nobody even would know, without Tom Brady. So, and it's fair to say over the past couple off seasons, like, it's been loud and messy in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So, is Aaron Rodgers the guy that's going to pull the offense together? I don't know. We're going to see. But I think it's just strange that they're just held to some other kind of, like, exempt standard from everyone else in the league when you're winning. You're supposed to be the best player in the league. Like, you're MVP 2 years in a row. The best player in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't even get to the Super Bowl. Yeah. And haven't got there in 10 years. Well, over 10 years.
I mean, I was told Mike McCarthy was the problem. So
that's what I thought. So too. I thought that too. And looking like there's bigger problems in Green Bay other than Mike McCarthy.
As you know, Joy, we are Boston-based and we mostly follow the Patriots. What are your thoughts on the Patriots situation? I mean, I guess it's a twofold question. What are your thoughts on Bill Belichick with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and what they have going on? And also, what are your thoughts on the quarterback controversy that we have going right now?
Is there
Fever?
into it? Is there a quarterback controversy with Zappy and Mac Jones?
I don't know. You know, there's a lot of people are feeling
There's
hot.
some fever going on.
Yeah,
It's feverish.
Oh, the Zappy fever.
We think Barry might be sick. Yeah, he might be.
Oh, no, I'm good. I just got Zappy fever. It's a good thing. You know, I had Zappy fever. It's a good kind of fever to have. I know there's usually not good kind of fevers, but this is a good one now. And it's certainly something that I'm not afraid to say that I got the Zappy fever, like a lot of Patriot fans that got the Zappy fever right now.
I always say fans only care about wins and losses. You know, the media internally in the building, front offices, they get caught up in like where someone was drafted or, you know, jersey sales or if they're on the ads around the city or not. Fans care about wins and losses, as they should. As you should. If someone's performing and bringing wins, it doesn't matter who they are. You might have a certain section that has different support levels, but unless you're somebody who has a resume like Tom, you know, you're a Lamar Jackson, you're a Patrick Mahomes, you're a Josh Allen, you're seeing what's happening in Dallas, which is where I'm going to go with this. Now, Dak Prescott obviously has a much bigger resume than Mac Jones. But there were people over the past couple of weeks talking about if they should stick with Cooper Rush, which I thought was crazy. You know, Cooper was not putting up, you look at the statistics, he wasn't doing anything special. The special thing he was doing was not turning the ball over, which is important. That's usually what backup quarterbacks do. So I'm not diminishing that, but on the other end of it, he's not doing anything extra. You know, he's following a game plan, which he also deserves credit for. But when things don't go according to the game plan, what happens? Well, you saw last night with Dallas and Philadelphia. That Philadelphia defense did what they do. And are you going to do something special? No, because that's not what he is. And that's not a knock on him. He's not supposed to be that. He's not QB1. So I think New England is kind of the perfect place for a player like Zappy to have success, because while everyone wants to write off Bill Belichick, and I get it, why everyone rushes to do this, I don't know. I still think for most of the teams in the NFL, if Bill Belichick is on the other sideline, you are at a coaching disadvantage. I can admit that Tom Brady was a massive part of that dynasty and a bigger part than Bill Belichick. But Tom Brady also played with great defenses. He also won several Super Bowls with great defenses doing great defensive things. So, like, I'm not just going to erase everything that I've seen with Bill Belichick. I was a little confused with the whole coaching staff thing and not having an offensive coordinator. I don't like when coaches are like, oh, I'm the smartest guy in the room. Like, who needs an offensive coordinator? Like, I don't know every other team in the league. Like, okay.
Winging it.
It might be important at one point or another. I'm not getting crazy about the Patriots, but I do think that, you know, similar to Mike Tomlin this weekend, I think we need to give good coaches a little more credit than, you know, we do. Yes, you need talent to win in this league, and sometimes coaches can be stubborn. But when you have the experience and you have the success that someone like Bill Belichick has, you know, they might win a few more games than you think that they will. I don't know if I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I don't think I have the fever yet, though.
The Zappy fever.
I'm happy for him, though. I think it's cool.
See, no, I hear you. Do you see the Patriots possibly making the playoffs, or, you know, being in contention for, you know, a wild card, you know, playoff spot? Because we've seen how bad the AFC is so far. I mean, we thought the AFC was going to be this great and really, you know, extremely good conference, and a lot of teams that we thought were going to be good, like what I was saying earlier, aren't very good. So where do you see the Patriots as far as their chances of making the playoffs this year?
I mean, I think they have a shot. I did not think that at the beginning of the season, but to your point, we thought the AFC West was going to be the gauntlet, and the Chiefs are the only good team in that division again. The AFC North is anybody's division. I mean, who knows week to week who's winning that division? And the Browns are getting Deshaun Watson back. They're still right in the mix. Like there's just not as many good teams. Who's gonna win the AFC South? Like I guess I don't know. That like everyone's bad in that division or average in that division as well. So I mean, the Jets are interesting. So they aren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. Obviously, the Dolphins have been dealing with, play to play who's going to be at quarterback. So I think it's wide open right now, wide open. And I did not feel that way before the season started. But like I said, I think we probably just need to respect Bill Belichick a little bit more.
Yeah, certainly do.
Speaking of the Dolphins, if you're Tua, which it's been reported that he will probably be back next week, do you feel like it's a little too early for him to come back? There's been a lot of fuss made about him, maybe needing to think about not playing for the rest of the season because of what happened to him and how bad that looked.
I think Tua is probably getting the best care that anybody could ever get in this situation with the injuries that he's had. Unfortunately, he should have gotten that care after the first incident and not gone back in the game. And then after getting in the game, been examined even more. So I don't doubt that if he's coming back, that he's healthy enough to come back, because whatever microscope was on the league with this before, I mean, you're seeing, I hadn't seen this many guys pulled out for concussions in a long time. Every game has somebody that's being pulled that we didn't even notice was, it wasn't even like as obvious a hit as Tua took in that game. So I think he's getting great care. And if he is coming back, it's because he feels ready and because the Dolphins have certainly taken every action to make sure that he's ready to come back. So I'm not going to, jump to the side of being an internet doctor. I mean, I am a doctor, but it's, doctor of humane letters, not a medical doctor. So I'm going to trust that everything is being done at the highest level with Tua at this point. And if he comes back, that he's ready and it's safe for him to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you have any predictions for the season as far as, who are your Super Bowl contenders, or who do you think will make it to the Super Bowl this year?
I realized I hadn't made an NFC pick for the Super Bowl before the season started because we didn't put our picks up or anything. I just said that I thought the Bills would win. I think right now, I mean, it's very whatever, but I think the Eagles are, I had the Eagles winning the division before the season started. I think the Eagles are the best team in the league right now, obviously splitting hairs with the Bills. The Bills are who I picked to win the Super Bowl and Josh Allen to win the MVP. Neutral field right now, even with that Bills win, I think I'm taking the Eagles right now today.
Ooh, Eagles over the Bills. Ooh.
I think so. Right now. And listen, Josh Allen is definitely the MVP so far. They look great, but I just think the Eagles are a very, very complete team. And they don't have to win pretty. They don't care about that. And I think I would take the Eagles right now. But it's splitting hairs with the Bills. So I know I'm going chalk on this, but I would go Bills, Eagles. I've seen more consistency from those two teams. But that being said, in the NFC, I really don't know what to make of the rest of the NFC. I thought the Rams were going to come back pretty turnkey. They haven't. Obviously, the Packers and Bucks are a bit of a disaster. So I don't know who else in the NFC you feel really good about. I mean, do you trust the Vikings? I don't. Kirk Cousins in prime time? I don't. You know, I think they're going to be what they've been in the regular season, but I've seen them do that before. But I gotta mention the Chiefs. Like, I still think that the Chiefs are legit. Like, that was not a blowout win. You telling me you felt like it was over with Patrick Mahomes with a minute left and 2 timeouts? Nobody did. You lying. Nobody did. Game wasn't over. His mistake ended the game, but that's not characteristic of Patrick Mahomes. The same exact thing happened in that game last year. They beat them by more. The Bills won 38-20 last year in week 5. And Patrick Mahomes threw 2 interceptions. So it's not like I learned anything. Like, we've already seen Josh Allen be amazing. So I'm very wary of the Chiefs still, but right now I would go Bills and Eagles.
Bills and Eagles.
Which is not, I know, but I don't feel good about any other teams. I don't trust anyone else.
One of the divisions that we talked about a lot in the offseason was the AFC West with the Chiefs, the Raiders, Denver, and it's been a disappointment, right? And so, what do you think is happening, especially with the Raiders, with Josh McDaniels? And it's a very talented team, but they just haven't been able to put it together, and they've lost game in ways that no one can explain. What do you think is going on down there? And what's up with Denver's quarterback, Russell Wilson?
Well, I'll start with the Raiders. I don't want to say it too soon, but maybe Josh McDaniels is not.
That's why Bill let him go, right? Because he'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean that's just rough to watch. They're so talented. They had so much dysfunction last year, and we're still able to, pull it together. So you don't have any of that nonsense going on now. What's the excuse? What's going on here? We know what Derek Carr can do. He's done it with, he had 8 different coaches? Like, he can function when stuff's not going well. So you added Devontae Adams. You've got some real pieces on defense. You got Darren Waller. Like, what are you really missing? So I don't know. I can't explain the Raiders. I can't explain Russell Wilson's play, but I will say, at least with Denver, I think everyone coming into the season thought it was going to be something like Matthew Stafford or Tom Brady going to the Bucs. And my pushback on that was, sure, he's going to a talented team in the Broncos, but they're going to have a new head coach and a first-time head coach in Nathaniel Hackett. So it's not just going to be new for Russell Wilson. It's going to be new for everyone else in the building as well. And they also have new ownership. Now, I don't know how much the new ownership plays into things, but, anything new is an adjustment. So they have just a lot of a new quarterback, new coach, new ownership. There's just a lot of moving pieces there. So I didn't think it was going to be as turnkey as Matthew Stafford going to the Rams or Tom Brady going to the Bucs. And by the way, nothing was perfect to start with for those teams either. Matthew Stafford threw a ton of interceptions last year, so much so that I was like, I don't know if I think they're winning anything in the postseason. Like, he turned the ball over, unapologetic
machine.
Right. And Tom Brady, they had a little moment where they had to adjust things in the bye week, if you remember, and then they really turned it on after that. So it's not like it's just easy to come into a place that's new and win right away. But the problem is Russ has looked so bad. So that's the part that's really confusing to me. Like, what is going on? I can't believe that Russell Wilson is this bad. I don't believe it. Maybe I'm just resisting this, but what happens? You weren't this bad last year. He had an injury last year, and the year before that they were 12-4. So you know what I mean? So I'm like, you're not this bad. So I think a lot of it is on Nathaniel Hackett, a lot of it. And if it continues to go the way it's going, I don't think he'll be there next year, because they already paid Russ, as they should. And he's the guy you have to build around. And we've seen some coaching gaffes with him already, and they're very sloppy. They don't play clean football. There's all these penalties and weird stuff going on. And to me, that means that everyone is not on the same page. And where that starts with the leadership to me. So the Raiders, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have no explanation for the Raiders. They should not be this bad. I know it's a new situation as well, but it's not your first time. And with Nathaniel Hackett, it is his first time. And we have first time head coaches that fail. Like it's a big job and it's a big situation. And the problem with Denver is Denver's used to winning. Like that's not a bum ass organization. Like they have Super Bowls. They have seen greatness. Mm-hmm. Like they know what it is. That's why they were leaving the game. Like I didn't pay for this. I did not pay for this. I paid for Denver Broncos football, and I can tolerate lesser talent struggling, but this is not what we signed up for. And I don't know what the explanation is for Russell Wilson, but I refuse to believe that he's this bad. So they got to figure it out. I guess we'll see some more tonight, and I don't think it's unfair because he forced his way out of Seattle. He is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's in that superstar space, and with great responsibility comes great expectations. Like we've been saying that the Broncos were a quarterback away for a while now. So you're the guy. You got to be the guy.
And he clearly hasn't been the guy to say the least. Yeah, it's just insane and wild how, that team's just underperforming and underachieving. I know I watched that Thursday night game when they played the Colts, and boy, that was putrid, atrocious. Like that was so sickening to watch. That made me want to throw up. Like that made me nauseous watching.
I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it was like one of the worst professional games I've ever watched in my life. It was bad.
All the Thursday night games so far have really been trash.
That one was a special kind of terrible though. Like.
Okay. It was on terrible on a different level. I think terrible is even an understatement.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, like the Colts are a disappointment. I was like, oh yeah, like this is their year finally. Matt Ryan revenge tour.
No way. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing now.
He hasn't recovered from 28-3. Ever since then, his career's just gone downhill. To say he's never been the same since that 28-3 game, and I don't think he ever will recover from that. It certainly doesn't look like it. But my question to you, Joy, I wanted to ask you, what's been, the favorite moment of your career? I know you worked, with some great people like, Colin Coward, and now you're working with LaShawn McCoy and Emmanuel Acho. What's your favorite moment of your career, and what's, some great, moments that you've had in, working with those guys?
I think a great memory I have was the Super Bowl in Miami in 2020. It's kind of bittersweet in some ways. I was very excited for it because it's Miami. I went to school in Miami. I started my career in Miami. Obviously, my brother played for the Dolphins. It's a city that's very special to me. And when we have it on Fox, we go to the Super Bowl and we have the whole setup and, we get the best spot and we get to do the shows from there live with the fans. And it's like a really exciting week. And I really sometimes when you do events or you guys know, like if you're at weddings or it's just like some big thing, it kind of becomes a blur. Like you're talking to a bunch of people, there's a lot of stuff happening. Like you don't really get to enjoy the moment. You're not really there. And it's almost like you're looking back at pictures like, oh, I didn't even remember that happened because it was just so much going on. So I really made an intentional decision to be very present and really enjoy what was happening and not get too caught up in everything that goes on at Super Bowl, which can be kind of chaotic. So I was very excited to get there. And then if you remember the Sunday before the Super Bowl, we got the tragic news about Kobe Bryant. So we're there at the Super Bowl, all hyped up, planning to talk about this, amazing matchup. And we get this tragic news. So we started the week, talking all about Kobe and, watching Colin start the show. And I was really trying not to look at Colin because I knew if I looked at him, I would start crying, and then he would start crying, and then like that's not, now we're not doing a show. We're just sitting there crying. Like that doesn't help anybody. But it was very surreal because we're on South Beach. We're in these massive sets there for Super Bowl, and we are talking about, you know, one of this like iconic, most legendary players that any of us have ever covered dying in this tragic accident with his daughter. It's like overwhelming, and we're not going to talk about anything else. You know, like there's just like this huge game just becomes completely unimportant. So it was a very like emotional week, but a very memorable experience to obviously be able to cover the Super Bowl and be in Miami and be on, you know, South Beach and, you know, be on air discussing everything that we did that week. And that was a really special moment for me in my career.
No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I know that was an extremely emotional and tough week for everybody, for anyone who's a, you know, sports fan, you know, like us, or who, you know, covers sports. That definitely was, you know, extremely difficult, I'm sure, to talk about and cover. And yeah, and even now, just talking about it, definitely just it's heartbreaking to, you know, to remember, you know, that. But, you know, thanks again for sharing that with us. Greatly appreciate it.
Well, Joy, it's definitely been a pleasure to have you back on the show. We really enjoy you coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. I got to tell you, you know, as our platform is growing, whenever people, you know, ask us about the show and they're like, who's your biggest guest? We're like, Joy Taylor came on. They're like, what? How you guys do that? You know, I don't know how we're doing it, but, you know, we really appreciate you coming on. You've given us a lot of clout in the podcast game. So thanks again so much. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. And, you know, I appreciate you guys watching the show and supporting as well. So it's been great.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joy. Yeah, welcome to come back on at any time. So we thank you again for coming on today, and yeah, keep doing your thing with the show, and we'll keep supporting for sure. And yeah, so this was great. It was great to have you on today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll try and avoid that zappy fever. We'll see.
Good luck.
We'll see how much longer he plays. But
yeah.
We'll see
Thank
how
you,
that
guys.
goes. Thank you,
Thanks,
Joy.
Joy.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You have a good night.
You too.
There you have it, man. The great Joy Taylor coming back on Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Make sure you guys watching her on FS1 on her new show, Speak, 4:30 every weekday, you know, with a couple guys, Sean McCoy and Emmanuel Acho and others as well. Make sure you guys are following her on social media at Joy Taylor. Make sure you're following us as well. We are at Pro Fan Sports on everything except for Instagram. That's at ProFans_sports. Make sure you're liking, subscribing to the channel, commenting, you know, sharing the content. That's how we're growing, you know, and you know, always thank you for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out.
Peace out.
Good week, everyone. See y'all next week.